Just a couple of guys, a couple microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the No Show. I am Jim McPhee, and there he is, Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on?
Wow.
Know-it-alls.
Yeah.
It's been one heck of the last, 40 minutes or
40
so?
minutes, whatever. It's been longer. It's
We've
been
had
a crazy night, Joe.
An insane amount of technical difficulties to get this show to happen, and we've overcome them all, we hope, so far. But thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the show, please do us a huge favor. It really does help the channel. Head over there if you haven't already done so, or if you know someone that loves NFL talk, head over there, hit that subscribe button for us, hit the thumbs up while you're there. Don't forget to comment down below because we are live right now. We want you guys to be part of the show. That's what the whole point of it is.
Know-it-all.
To be the best interactive talk show out there. So prove it to everybody out there. Get in the comment section. Drop questions. Drop comments. Drop opinions because we got a packed show for you guys. We're going to be talking about some possible NFL rules. We're going to be talking about Mike Vrabel landing spots. We're going to talk about all of that and more, and we're going to get to our game picks, of course, because we still got the game pick competition going, but only a few weeks left. I got to try to make up some ground because I keep falling farther and farther behind, it seems like, every week.
It's no, you're there.
But man, Jim, also, if you want to follow us on Facebook, join the group. We've lost a couple members, so now we're just under 900. Which is, it's sad to see you go, but we love to see you leave. We need more guys to jump in the comment section right now. Head over to Facebook, check in on the show, and you can follow us on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it now, at FB_no. Now, Jim, let's get into this thing this week because there's some things that are brewing here.
Yeah, there's a lot brewing, Joe. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
we got some. I don't know why I sounded like that. That's oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. We're going to talk about the NFL
take a week
now.
off and I'm all crazy now.
Yeah,
right?
What's going on? You trying to do a stand-up comedy routine now?
I'm wearing my Tar Heels hat now. How about that?
Bill
Belicheck.
Motherfucking Belichick.
How about that? Goes to the Tar. I didn't think it was going to be real. Like I heard he's considering it. This.
You know
I'm
what?
Like, no, why would he do that?
You know what's funny?
There it is.
Is I saw 2 days ago someone report that Bill Belichick hired as new head coach. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, I didn't hear it from anybody else. So it was just this one source that kind of put it out there. And I'm like, that's got to be fake news. That's not happening. Then 2 days later, things start brewing up and you start to see other journalists, say, hey, it's in the works. Like they're working on a deal right now. It's in the works. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, could Big Bill go to the college town in North Carolina and turn that program around at the college ranks? Another big-time head coach of his stature, and apparently, he likes that age group anyway. So, I mean, you might as well just head right down there to North Carolina, be amongst all the Unions. Right.
He used to use his girlfriend as a recruiting tool or something like that, right?
That's right.
She can hang with them all. Here, honey, take them out, for a good time, party.
Look what I can get, guys. You guys can get the same thing.
I can't relate to the kids. Carolina. Tell me what they like now. You know what I mean? And that's the funny thing too with this dude, because they just fired, a 75-year-old now, and they go.
You're right.
They're like, we're gonna go youthful now, a youthful coach. We're gonna get a 72-year-old. And I don't get this because one on his end, he's up there in probably one of the greatest of all time coaches, with the amount of rings that they've had, the Patriot way, this and that.
Yep.
And to go to the college rankings where you have to do a hell of a lot more. You have to try and recruit these young kids, this and that. It's kind of going downwards, I think. You've already achieved so much at the NFL level.
Right.
I don't see where it makes sense. I mean, you figured you have to do another NFL job.
Right.
And as far as we're talking about the youth difference and this and that, I think the way students are and athletes and I think there's other people that have brought this up here too. That the athletes are different. They got a whole new different mindset. They're more like, what can you do for me and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And not all exactly about team and what's best for the team and all this and blah, blah. Like, that's the way Bill Belichick coaches. Hey, it's the team is more important than anything. And to try and drill that into some of these younger athletes, I think it's going to be a difficult situation. Are they going to buy into that whole thing? I don't know. Because I get Bill Belichick. They're going to be like, oh, man, it's the greatest coach of all time. Maybe they give him that respect, but how far is that going to go?
Well, here's my thing about all of that is I don't think building the team aspect for young students and young players, young athletes, I don't think that's hard to spin because every college does that. The team is bigger than the individual at the college ranks. They're all playing for each other. It's more like a family, like a fraternity, if you will. Like there's all closely bound in the time that they spend on the football field together. So it's like, I don't think that part of it, I think that's going to be the easy part, honestly. But the hard part of it is the way he coaches. He's very demanding. He's hard to deal with sometimes. And you're going to have, I get where you're headed. You're headed because you have younger athletes coming in with different egos, right? And Bill Belichick, basically like the grandfather they never had, is now going to have to, strike down with some discipline and stuff from time to time. And they might not be willing to hear it. They might be going crazy, And I think the age gap isn't as big of a deal as it used to be. But at the same time, Bill Belichick, I think, will automatically get the respect because he's already been there and done that at the NFL level with a lot of these students. And the harder part is going to be the disciplinary moves that he makes, along with his program and how he does it, how he runs practices and everything. You know what I mean? Very regimented. There's hardly, there's breaks, but he pushes you to your limits. How many of these kids are going to fall off and say, hell, I want to jump on the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. I was going to come here because it's Bill Belichick, but now after dealing with what I had to deal with for a year, the following season, I'm going to the transfer portal. Are you going to lose recruits? That's the other part of college football, that you have to be a great recruiter. This is not where you have a draft pick and be like, that's my guy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's coming to my team. Mm-hmm. College ranks, very different. You have to recruit all year long into next season and and even at the very end, you don't necessarily have them locked in until they sign that paper, for at least for the year. So that, to me, there's going to be a lot of variables for Bill Belichick to either get used to or overcome in his time at North Carolina. We got an OG know-it-all, everybody. Welcome back, Paul Matty.
That's right.
Greetings from Playlinda Beach, Florida.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, we've been waiting to hear that.
Yeah, Paul Matty, there he is. By the way, he is the owner and admin of Pigskin Talk Facebook group here on Facebook. So if you guys want to get your NFL talk and chat going on, make sure you guys join that group. It's very interesting, a lot of fun, a lot of different things you get to see on there that other people don't, especially from Paul. He brings up some old photos too from former players and trying to guess some of these players by the photos, and where he digs some of this stuff up, man, it's crazy. This guy is like,
it's awesome,
a living encyclopedia, and he's been there though too. He's been a coach and things like that too and stuff. So it's an awesome group. So make sure you guys give a follow there and join the group too as well.
Definitely, we're part of it too. So it's an awesome group.
Hell yeah. You meet great people like Paul.
Definitely.
So what does he have to say?
He goes, if I was Belichick, I would brag to my players that my girlfriend is hotter than theirs.
Oh, man.
And that was part of the recruiting processes we were having along those lines. We're like, hey, if you want a hot girlfriend like mine, you have to come to North Carolina. But there's going to be, I feel like, Bill Belichick at the NFL level, obviously we know what he's capable of. He's been there, done that type of thing. He's a winning coach. But then, now that you're taking in a sense, you're taking a step down. In a sense, it might not be seen that way by some other people, but in a sense, it's a step down in competition. It is. With North Carolina,
I think it's a rough.
in the division that they're in, it's a soft division. That's what it's seen as. So he could very easily turn this program around, but it comes down to recruiting. How many recruits that were originally recruited to go to North Carolina this year might maybe stay? Because usually it depends on the coaching staff that was there. You know, that's why they're going there. That's who was recruiting them. But now you hear Bill Belichick's name and you're like, oh, damn, I'm definitely going to stay. Or is it like, oh, I don't want to deal with him. I heard how difficult he is with players on practices and drills, and I might bow out now. I might not go, you know, if they haven't signed that letter already. So I think it's going to be difficult for Bill initially. But after he learns the ropes of head coaching in the college ranks, I feel like he's going to do a great job. I mean, it's way less stressful than NFL level. I mean, you basically you're a king on campus. You know, as long as you're a good coach, you're a king on campus.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're staying inside.
Yeah, and I get it too. Yeah, the division's soft. You could do that and maybe win the the championship here for that division and stuff. But again, trying to keep up with some of these other schools, I mean that's another hill to climb too. And at least Nick Saban isn't there anymore, so he doesn't have to compete with him. You know what I mean? So maybe even Saban had something to do with some of it too. He said, "Hey man, I've been the king of college and stuff like that. Why don't you give it a go too?" Because on the other aspect, yes, you've done, you've achieved great things for the NFL. Why not try college now? See if you can do the same thing there. You know what I mean? And then you could say you've done it everywhere. But at his age right now, a 5-year deal, dealing with this and all that. I think he had a pretty sweet gig too. I mean, you're inside the NFL. You get to talk with Pat McAfee too, and he had another gig too, that he was doing too. So I mean, you're around, you're working the media. Right. You don't have to do anything, man. You've already accomplished so much.
I'm waiting for him to fill out his staff with like Josh McDaniels coming back. Yeah. Imagine him as OC for North Carolina, screaming at kids, losing his mind. Of maybe some of the mistakes they make. Yeah. I think it's going to be kind of funny to see. If that happens, it'll be hilarious. Paul Matty also says, if you're a high school player, you got to take a visit to UNC just to meet the best head coach in history. And you could easily see that. Like, I know if I was a prospect, and I was one of the higher levels, or even if you were just at any level, right? Like if you're a 3-star type of athlete, and you get a letter saying, hey, we want you to come in for a visit in North Carolina, I'm taking that. Hell yeah. One, for the experience to meet Bill. For another, for just to see what his plans are for that. The star power, I get. The name, obviously, everybody knows who he is. So he's going to have that kind of, just like Deion Sanders did. It's the same kind of deal. Deion Sanders, very big name. He goes to Jackson State, of all ones, not even a Division I school. He goes to Division II school in Jackson State, turns that program around in a couple seasons, and got basically a promotion to come to Division I to play coach for Colorado.
Yeah.
And obviously, everybody knows who Deion is. Yeah. And, of course, cornerbacks, safeties, other defensive players, even offensive players are flocking to Colorado because of Deion Sanders as the head coach. You could see the same kind of thing happen with Bill Belichick. And I just wonder, with Deion, it's different. Deion has a little bit more flavor. Deion has more charisma, where Bill is just Bill's Bill. He's just, very plain Jane, right to the point, and that's it. No smiles given out very easily with him. But I think that, to me, is going to be an experience altogether. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds. But apparently Bill also stated that he's going to revolutionize the way college football works.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. Sounds good.
And he said this because he has a plan in place about how he wants to recruit players. And like with the whole NIL deals that they get, basically a tier system almost. For like based on your play, it could change. So he wants to kind of make it to where if you're the best quarterback in the country, you're going to get paid X amount of dollars. But if you don't play like that, it's going to diminish. But if you get recruited lower and you excel, then you get paid more. So it'll be interesting to see how he can put that together. But again, good for Bill Belichick. I know everybody has been waiting to see, in the NFL ranks anyway, him taking a coaching job. Now it's changed. And the reason why I feel like it's changed, or his mindset maybe, is because at the NFL level, nobody wants to give him full power. So
yeah,
now
that makes sense there. So now he can do whatever.
So now
he wants,
in the college ranks. He's the man. So he's going to be able to, go evaluate high school players. I want this kid. I need you to go out there and try to convince him to come here. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that program works with Bill, the man Belichick.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting to follow here. Too bad we got to wait a whole nother, season until next year or whatever to find out. But we shall see.
We will. Bill, we'll be watching you, bro.
And we'll talk about another potential coaching hire in a little bit. But, Joe, the rule changes are here
got a
again.
few
They're
of them.
talking about it
Yeah.
again. It's coming up. We've seen this a bunch of different times.
Yeah.
Here you go. And it's quoted that Troy Vincent here is saying now that the NFL wants to change potentially to a ban to low blocks, onside kicks, and to be re-examined here now again, and face mask penalties potentially to be reviewable here. So a few of the different things on the docket that the NFL could be looking at in the future in this offseason. Well, first of all, let's talk about the first part here, the low blocks. What do you think about that? And what do you think even helps stem to that?
I think it's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane to think. You've already limited defensive players to so much so far. Like now, cornerbacks are not allowed to play corner. Really, they're allowed to run with the receiver. They can't touch them. They can't put their hands on them because then they're at risk of getting a holding call or pass interference. We've seen it every single week this season, even in past seasons. And now you want to further cripple the defense. What are these guys supposed to do now? Or I should say offense. Sorry.
Yeah, offense.
You want to further cripple the offense because you now basically, Troy Vincent is saying, "Oh, no low blocks. You can't just duck down and take someone's legs out with a screaming linebacker kind of beaming in at your quarterback, and you got your running back only to save you." It's getting to the point where they're trying to change too much of the game. We've said this before in past podcasts that every year it seems like they're trying to tweak a rule. They're trying to remove a rule, and now you want to put in place no low blocks. Are you insane? Because I'll tell you right now, you might even have, you talk about, because Troy Vincent does state, well, we want to reduce even more the injury factor. And we've noticed that when guys take out knees, shins, ankles, all that, we've seen injuries happen just because of the low block. Okay, cool. But you're also removing a part of the football where if you do that, quarterbacks are in jeopardy of getting hit even more. Running backs that are asked, or tight ends that are asked to block or step in the way of those guys blitzing. Now, you can't just take their legs out. You have to just suffer the blow. And then who knows? Maybe that leads to more concussions. Maybe it leads to other injuries. So I think that by removing that ability, saying you can't do any more low blocks, you're also going to be handicapping other players, and injuries still might even exist anyway. Because now you're saying, okay, no low blocks. Now you're just going to have to freaking take a helmet-to-helmet hit, because that's what's going to end up happening. Big-time collisions are going to be happening, and then you might get even more concussions. So what do you really want to trade off here?
Yeah, and I get it. And the funny thing is here is they barely call this as it is. You know what I mean? The rule is out there for an illegal chop block and things like that.
Yeah.
And taking out somebody's legs. I mean, but they don't even call it half the time. I've seen it within the last week or so even too, where that hasn't been called, and it was clear there that they probably should have called a penalty on some here, and they don't. And like you said, I understand that aspect too, is because if you do ban it, guys try and block high. And, you know, these running backs trying to stop some of these defensive tackles now that are actually getting in there and pressuring quarterbacks, not just DNs.
Right.
Getting blasted into the quarterback, then creating more injuries for the quarterback here. So I can see that as well. Yeah. And like you said, also in the fact that you're dabbling too much into something that's already kind of been there. And like, what's the point to this whole thing? You know what I mean? And why are you trying to change a lot of these different rules?
Yeah. So Troy Vincent commented and said every block should be above the knee, and he goes but below the neck. So he wants everyone to hit. Basically, you're going to end up tackling people. Like you're getting to the point where, like, do you want, and that's going to be seen as holding, right? So like as soon as you put your shoulder and then you got your arm around just to drive your shoulder into the guy, you know, now is that going to be seen as holding? And then they're going to start calling that like, so you're getting to a gray area where I think the injuries are going to continue to happen no matter what you change. This is a violent sport, and I understand you want to make it safe or safer, but at what point are you, like, everybody makes the joke, like, when are we going to get to flag football at this point? But it's like the more and more you try to take out of the game, the aggressiveness out of the game, the hard hits, because now you get penalized for those no matter what. It's changing the actual game that everybody came to love. So I think you need to stop tweaking it.
All right, we got a few different comments here for Paul Matty. We got to get it.
Well, we got Mike Tackett now.
Oh, Mike Tackett's in there,
too.
All
he goes, you want to go to North Carolina if you want to prep for the NFL. Him and his staff are going to develop kids for the NFL, more so than just competing at the college level. That's a good statement, Mike. I mean, that makes a lot of sense because he knows what it takes to get to that level, right? So he's going to be coaching those kids up to prepare them for the NFL level, unlike any other college coach. Because across the NCAA, these college coaches aren't coaching them up to prepare them for the NFL. They're just coaching them up to win games for them.
Yeah.
So they're not fully developed. We all know that when they get to the NFL. So Bill Belichick would be that exception. He also says targeting needs to be used the crown of the helmet to make initial contact, and that's it. There are so many questionable targeting calls that's ruining the game.
I agree.
I think that it definitely depends, and obviously it's discretion of the refs.
Yeah.
So anytime they see a hard hit, and I've seen this in college too, though, where they've seen a hard hit before and they haven't called targeting, but then they review it even if they do. They'll review targeting. I've seen it at the Ohio State-Michigan game. I think I saw it. And they reviewed targeting. It wasn't called targeting on the field, but then they stopped the game and said, we're going to review for targeting. They reviewed it. They deemed it as not targeting, and the player continued to play. That's the one kind of change that I think the NFL needs to do is review, pass interference, like major calls, not every call. I'm not saying every call. I'm saying calls that will literally change the game or game impacting type of plays where like there's seconds on the clock. Josh Allen, throws a bomb to Amari Cooper at the 2-yard line. Is he in? Is he out? Is it a touchdown? Is it not? You need to review those things instead of just going with, oh no, it's incomplete pass. What you need to go back and look at it. So that's my thing. But then Paul Matty says, I'm back. Show locked up for a second. We appreciate you coming back, Paul. Also said that Mike says Troy Vincent was a dog in his day, but man has CTE, Biden of NFL rulemaking.
Nice.
And then Paul said valid argument, Mike.
There you go.
Very good points This is what the show's about, man. We got some great know-it-alls here that drop some knowledge.
We did it, Joe.
And then, this is what it's all about. This is why we have some good conversations here with these guys.
Yeah. And, as far as that, I mean, I don't know. I think that's getting too ticky-tacky again. Now, as far as onside kicks, what are they going to reevaluate? And now all of a sudden they're going to say, well, we can still do them, but now we're not going to announce it to the world? Is that the difference now?
What do you mean? No, you still have to announce it. Like, that's not
what changes are they looking to change then?
No, they're looking. Remember a year ago when they had this new kickoff change in the onsides and all that this is just a temporary thing. So they're going to go back into this offseason and review it and see, do they want to keep it? Do they want to make it permanent? Or do they want to alter some things and change it and see how that goes? So they've noticed that there's been, obviously we knew this was going to happen, though, that kickers were going to kick it out of the back of the end zone anyway.
Yeah.
And the offense takes it at the 30. Like, we knew the kickers in this league, they just can kick.
Well, that's the kickoff. I thought you said we're talking about onside kicks here, though.
Onside kicks will be looked at, too. But I'm getting to that point.
Okay.
So everything is on the docket for this. It's not just kickoffs, it's also onside kicks. It's, do they want to further penalize now kicking it out of the back of the end zone? Because their idea was, hey, we're going to create it this way, so now maybe teams will be more apt to kick it in bounds and we'll have returns, and fans will be happy because they got some kind of returns happening. No. Now they want to possibly further penalize a team that continues to kick it out of the back of the end zone. Instead of being at the 30, they're thinking about moving it to the 40 now. And that, to me, is kind of crazy. That's absurd. You're damn near, the halfway point to scoring. I think you're getting a little too ridiculous. I know the NFL wants returns because it's exciting for the fan bases. Mm-hmm. The fan bases have spoken. We want returns back. But here's the thing, NFL. You have to just give us it back like the college football does. Normal returns. You kick the ball off, they can return it. None of these, you got to kick it in the box between the 10 or the goal line and the 20, or you get penalized. None of this crap like that. Everybody wants a legitimate return. College football still does it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Sometimes you're going to get lit up like a Christmas tree. And then other times you're going to make people look stupid and you're off to the races and everybody gets the juices flowing because, oh, my God, did you see the kickoff, the opening kickoff for a touchdown? It was insane. Mm-hmm. So that's all on the docket. So everything to do with the kicking game, they're going to revisit that in the offseason, and hopefully they make the right decisions. I don't think they will because it is the NFL and they continue to screw up from every single year. But we'll see.
Yeah. I agree with you. Same thing too. I think they should just go back to the way it was, because you don't get the returns like that. You don't get the special moments. And then also, I'm all about making it's got to make it difficult to score. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But when you're giving these guys field position just like that too, you're right there already at a 30, 35. I mean, some guys still were trying to return it, there, but you don't see it as
a
much.
A lot of times
you're already getting great field position. Now, how
seen a couple.
He's getting the drive down there, and for teams when it comes down to the end of the game now they're really looking at time management as like, I seriously need to score with literally 20 seconds or under on the clock, or else another team can come back and still win this with a field goal. Because all it is a couple dink and dunks out, and some out routes, and you're already right there in kicking range. With the way some of these guys are talking about kickers being able to kick 50-plus yarders at a regular pace here and being accurate, you're falling right into that whole thing. And you want to try to change even the kicking motion. Well, you guys changed the way the kickoffs were. So now you're bringing the ball there sooner and closer to mid-range, that it's easier to get in there and get a game-winning field goal or to bring it into overtime. Just don't mess with anything. Just keep it the way it was, and nobody had a problem with that.
Right, and that's the other thing too is, I feel like the NFL is trying to find a happy medium of sorts, but I just don't think it's obtainable. I think you're never going to appease the fans or make them happy unless you go back to the way it was. Now I understand in the very beginning, there was the whole blocking scheme called the wedge.
Yeah.
On kickoffs, where you had four protectors, if you will, that would link arms and then run up the field, and then you had the returner behind them.
Yes.
They got rid of that because they saw too dangerous. And then you had the normal kickoff that we're all accustomed to.
Yep.
And now you have a kickoff that nobody recognizes. Nobody is thrilled to see it. And when you look at some of these, when you look at some of the, I'm trying to look up something right now.
Oh, okay.
When you look up, this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at what they were, how much excitement were you filled with before the kickoff happened? Not much. Because even if they were to kick it inbounds and you had a return, the average return was 25 or 30-yard line anyway. So, of course, you're going to kick it out the back of the end zone and just give it to them at the 30 because, on average, you're going to get it there anyway. What's the sense of kicking it inbounds? There were rare occasions where they would stop them before the 25 or of that nature. But I wanted to pull this stat up here. In the 2024 NFL season, the league-wide rate of returning a kickoff is around 29% through 4 weeks. This is up from 17% during the same time frame in 2023, but still the third lowest return rate since 2000. So as far as return rate, it's just not there. You're trying to give the fans the kickoffs back, but you're not. By this new structure, it's not working.
Yeah.
It's simply not working. It's not exciting to watch. And if you go that route where you're going to further penalize the kickoff team, basically the defense that has to step on the field, and you're saying, oh, well, guess what? The opposing offense gets to start at the 40. Mm-hmm. Now, we talk about changing the game. You're changing the game even more now.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think you're getting away from what you really need to get to. Mm-hmm. And this is just, I can't stand what they keep critiquing. It just doesn't work. Oh, let's try this out. Oh, let's try that out. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's try to make it safer with this rule or that rule. Take this rule out. It's too much. Stop messing with what works.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, we've got a few comments we haven't gotten to. What do we got here?
Let's see. Paul said, valid argument. And he goes, are you guys siding with Gatineau? I don't know who Gatineau is.
It's about the Brett Favre taking the sack
I don't even care. Honestly. I'm not siding with nobody.
Mike Tackett says we got to play maximum football. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was going to even get a hold of you, see if you wanted to kind of do some kind of, I don't know, screen share or something like that and kind of show us and walk it through tonight or whatever. But I'm thinking, Joe, if you want to, this weekend, maybe we can do a live stream. We'll play, you know what I mean? And then we could live stream it to our YouTube or our Facebook group or something like that because I can set that up.
Yeah.
And we can have some fun with it.
Maximum
if you want to do that,
football.
well, throw it on there. That way, you get a free plug on that too. And I've already told my son to check it out because he really likes Madden and stuff like that, and give me his honest thoughts about it too as well. But yeah, I think that's a lot of fun. And on the Gatineau thing, I'm sorry, I signed with Brett Favre again. I'm looking at it as, listen, dude, like, I don't care about your record or whatever you have and stuff like that. And I'm managing a game. If it's already the end of the game, things like that, and things don't matter to me at that point right there. Whatever, I got to take the sack, I'll take the sack. I'm not here to help somebody's stats exactly, even though people are trying to say, oh, you just did it to help Strahan. No, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. People don't care like that. You know what I mean? They don't do it that way. If you're a teammate, they'll do whatever they can do to try and get you into the end zone, for your own stats. But the opposing team isn't going to do that for you. And for me, I think, again, it's situational within the game. And if you want to cry about it, go ahead, cry about it. I really don't care.
Dude, it doesn't matter. It's over with.
Yeah.
What are you whining about? I was hurt, Brett. Like, I saw the video of him confronting him. I'm just like, dude,
it looks
really?
like a WWE stage video.
Yeah,
right?
Yo, that is hilarious.
It's like, I was looking for WWE.
It looked like in the locker room, but behind stage.
Well, Matty says it's a weak way for Strahan to get the record. Yeah, but you know what? You get the record sometimes. That's how not all records are great, epic feats. You know what I mean? That happen. I mean, look at the Chiefs records that they're getting right now with the way they're playing even. Like, it's crazy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Listen, it's done. It's been over with.
Hey, let me tell you, and you and I think, are probably on the same where we pretty much side with a lot of the older, players with a lot of different things and stuff like that. But something like this, I'm disinterested. I don't care.
Yeah,
so,
it's
sorry, guys.
Trying to
whatever. It's
we're trying to make something happen and spark something up, but yeah, it is what it is. Whatever.
All right, so we talked about the kickoffs all together now. Now, onsides, are they going to change the way that, like I said, are they going to make it so you don't have to announce it this time, or are they just going to kind of go back to the regular way?
See.
We'll see. Is
We'll
that
see.
what they're looking at?
They're looking at the whole kicking game. So
kicking game.
So we know that they've altered it. They've also altered the onsides kick. They've altered the kickoff. So it's a revisit to that and say, hey, do we think that this is a better option? Do we need to tweak some things? Do we need to just flat out get rid of it? So I hope they get rid of it. I really do. But nine times out of 10, they don't ever agree with what we want.
All right. Now, what do you think about the face mask penalties being reviewable? I mean,
it's a step in the right direction, but it's not where you need to. You can't just. You also need to do illegal hits. You need to do pass interference, some pass interference calls, like anything close. And we've seen college football do this very adequately, where they review a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They review targeting, they review plays, like just even first down plays they review because, did you see that, Jerry? Nah, I gotta look at it, and I think he got the first down, but it was very close. We should look at it. Okay, let's go look at it. It takes them 2 seconds. They come back, they make the announcement, we move on the game. Why can't NFL refs do it? Because they're all average of 75 years old and are just slow with everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm really bothered by it because it's not that difficult.
Yeah, they're making it more difficult than it really is.
You need what the college has. They also have, someone to look at these plays and review them right away. So it's not like the refs have to they're there and they can see it too. But then they talk with the guy up there and like, oh no, this was a first down. He has control, both feet or at least 1 foot in college football, and he's good to go. Mm-hmm. So there's ways to do this quickly and keep the game moving. We've seen it in college football. The NFL needs to adopt that, and you can speed the game up that way. Instead of having, turkey dinner in the middle of the football field, having a meeting with the Zebra boys and talking for 5 to 7 minutes before they even make a call. It's a little ridiculous. College football, take notes from them because they seem to have it down. They seem to be moving along. But NFL refs, they're just not there yet, but this is a step in the right direction. At least maybe you're going to review a very difficult play to see. We saw Joe Burrow got his freaking neck almost broke.
Oh, yeah.
Against the Cowboys.
That's happened a few different times for Joe Burrow. It's like all of a sudden they don't notice it. I don't know what it is, but he's a big victim of that.
Dude, how do you not notice that? It's not like he was in the middle of a pile. He was on the edge and out in the open, and nobody saw it. So, I think this is a step in the right direction, but at the same time, they need to look at other avenues, too, to review. That I definitely think they need some kind of a sky judge, if you will, or something like that can review close plays, tight plays that are hard to see.
Yeah, or even to review the ones where the flag is thrown and they have a conversation, and then all of a sudden they're like, there was no flag on the play. All of a sudden the penalty's gone. We saw that even in
it's happened a lot this season.
I think it was even the Bills game maybe or something like that.
It's happened a lot.
We have where
they pick it up.
It looked like there was a pass interference even too, or a hit, and they're like, "Oh, we threw the flag for the pass, but there was no pass interference on the play." And then they do the review, like the announcers and everybody in the station, and you clearly see that it was, and you're like, "Well, you just picked that flag up, bro." How many other times do you call it off of less?
Right. My thing, though, too, Jim, is the fact that if you throw the flag, you're throwing the flag for a reason. You're not just throwing something. You're not just throwing the flag and be like, sorry, guys, it slipped out of my hands.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a deliberate attempt to throw a penalty, and you're like, hey, what did you see? Well, I think I saw holding, on 89. Oh, really? I didn't see it. Did you see it? No, I didn't see it. We're going to pick it up. Okay. Wait, what?
Yeah, right.
It's like, dude, come on. there has to be some kind of penalty. It didn't just magically like, oh no, you were seeing things that play.
Yep.
Yeah, the consistency for the refs is absolutely terrible. It's the worst.
They should have
in
like
pro sports.
a rule that, like how they do with personal fouls. And it's like you get 2 and you're thrown out of the game. They should have that for refs. If you get a terrible call, you get 2, you're out. You get thrown out.
Honestly,
of the game.
listen. They make enough money.
Fine something.
Like I think you need to fine them. Like I really do think that when you go through and you need to start getting fined, especially if you keep making a bad call routine. Like, if you're making a bad call in this game, the next week you make 2 bad calls, and then the next week, if there's a track record of you consistently making bad calls, I think you need to be fined in some way. Maybe not fired right away, but at least you have a little bit of insurance room to like stay a ref. But then if you continue to make more and more, or just continue to make bad calls, you got an evaluation just like anybody else at a job. The yearly evaluation. Hey, how'd you do? You did okay in these 2 games. Then you had a bad 6-game streak where you just were missing a lot of flags or didn't throw the whatever it is. And I think they need to be held accountable. Bottom line, and that's what it is they're not held accountable. So they feel like, hey, I'm bored. Let's throw a holding call on this. I would have really liked to see that play happen. It's just it's too much right now. They don't. Here's the crazy thing, is like we've told all of our nodals before this, but the NFL is the only American pro sports league that doesn't have full-time refs. They're the only one. The NFL has part-time referees. You got lawyers, school teachers, paramedics, whoever it is, that are doing these referee jobs and getting paid handsomely well. I think you need to go to full-time referees, just like everybody else. And that way we could get on the same page in the off season. You could be like, okay, well, this is what you go through, experiences, and you go through different plays and say, well, this is how we want to call it. If you see this happen again, we're going to call it this way in uniform. So that way there isn't too much inconsistency in the referees every week. Because that's the problem. A lot of fans bicker about it every week with their teams, and it's like it's not getting any better. And sometimes this crew calls pass interference a lot, or this crew calls holding a lot. So it's like they all need to get on the same page.
All right. Paul Matty says here, in Florida high school football, you can scratch a ref from future games if you think they were bad.
Oh, wow.
I like that.
Wow.
How about that? They should do that more often here.
Yeah. Yeah, they should. And they should hire full-time referees.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, man. Maybe that.
Equal opportunity employer.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so if you guys haven't yet, we're talking about all different kinds of things here, but we're going to get to Mike Vrabel in a second and potential landing spots, because his name's coming up now that we're getting towards the end of the season, and some of these sucky teams here,
sucky teams.
Guys getting fired. Some aren't fired yet, but, they're knocking on that door. But we need to knock on your door, and you guys say, hey, hello, Football on the No Show. I'm going to check out your YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, let myself know whenever you guys go live, and we're going to check out some more football talk. That's right, here. So go to our YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, become a know-it-all, everybody.
It's very simple.
That's right.
We're just saying,
very simple stuff.
Hit the subscribe button. You can follow us on the X at FB_no, and Facebook. We're there too. And we're live on Facebook right now. If you're tuning in, some people are on YouTube, some people are on Facebook. They're commenting down below. We're reacting to it. We're having a great time here. Right. We want you guys to be a part of it.
Yeah, we haven't got jailed by Facebook or anything yet.
Although I do have a complaint about Facebook.
Sure.
It seems like there's always an issue with the software. Yeah. Like I've noticed in the past week where I wasn't allowed to share something to a group or something, or
was it offensive?
No, not at all.
Like,
no,
they deem things offensive out of nowhere for no reason. No.
Football cannot be offensive.
It can.
It just can't be.
Oh man.
So, but even then, like if I search up friends, sometimes the friends list doesn't populate. I'll type your name in, Jim.
Yep.
And I'll put in Jimmy McPhee, and you don't come up.
Huh.
and it'll be a list of other Jimmys that I don't know who they are, but it's not you. So it's like
their
Facebook has been
algorithm's messed
screwing up a lot lately.
Yep, it's that DEI hires he's got over there probably right now, Joe.
Could be.
So here we go. Mike Vrabel, again, the hot man out there. People seeing him there in Cleveland. That's a dumpster fire out there and say, hey, this guy's too good to not get a job. I know he's eyeing jobs right now. We're hearing a couple different teams that
He
are
doesn't even have to
interested
eye
right
jobs.
now.
That's the funny part.
Oh, yeah.
It's like there's going to be like a long line hoping to get him as a head coach.
Definitely. So let us know in the comments what you guys think are the best fit for him, where he, or even where you think he might go. Right off the bat, let's just talk about, we're hearing, Jerry Jones and things like that, and the Cowboys are a hot topic and team that, is out there, the potential landing spots here. What do you think about that? Do you think Mike McCarthy doesn't last this year? Because, he's on his last year of his deal here, so they've got to make a decision either way. But Jerry Jones has been making the rounds too on the radio stations too. He's just on 105 the team, or 105 the fan, in Dallas here, saying he really likes McCarthy though too. He doesn't think that he's lost the guys in the locker room or anything like that. He's a tough, offensive minded coach here, and people listen. He's old school. That sounds fine. We've heard Jerry Jones say a lot of different things, and then the opposite happens though too, or whatever. What do you think about the Dallas Cowboys?
It's an option. Does he want it, though? Mike Vrabel's going to have to not only go in there, and he's not an offensive-minded guy. Like, you would think that the Cowboys would target an offensive-minded dude to work with Dak Prescott, to work with and assemble better weapons around him. Strengthen that offensive lineup, get a better running back, maybe even add another wide receiver. Because tight ends look pretty good, but there still needs to be work done on that offensive side of the ball. I think, to me, the smartest thing for the Cowboys is to go an offensive-minded coach, not Vrabel, because the defense isn't that bad. I just think they have a out-of-touch defensive coordinator with Zimmer, who's older than dirt at this point, and still trying to make it work there in the D-town. But I think for Vrabel, I think, of course, he would take it. He's going to get paid, right? He's going to be a head coach. But I think on the Cowboy side, we've heard also Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones spoke very highly of McCarthy and saying, well, we're going to evaluate at the end of the year, but we're happy with what he's been able to do. So you have both sides of it, where they left it open. Like, if they do move on from it, it won't be a shock. But if they keep him, it also won't be a shock. So I think for the Cowboys, if Jerry Jones is upset at McCarthy and said, well, it's the offense's problem, then you see McCarthy get fired, hands down. For Vrabel, I just don't think it's a good fit. I know Jerry Jones is going to obviously try to bring in a big name, and that's kind of what he does. So Vrabel would obviously be one of those guys. But I'm thinking more along the lines of like a Ben Johnson, if you could entertain him, a Bobby Slowick from the Houston Texans as an OC. Someone of that nature, I think, would fit very well for the Dallas Cowboys. But, again, it's Jerry's world. He's going to do whatever he wants to do, and if Vrabel is his target, he's going to go after him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, how much power does, I think, Vrabel want? In this whole thing. That's, I guess, the balance, because he does come from the Belicheck tree, and yes, he, is out at Tennessee, but I think the reason why maybe he didn't get a job with some of these other teams was maybe some of that factor or whatnot. I don't know exactly.
I think the head coaches were all taken already.
But
like, when he became available, a lot of the teams already had decided on who they were going to add as head coaches. So it was almost like a late thing that happened, that transpired. And now he was like, well, I'll just wait. I'll wait a year. Maybe I'll be on a staff. Maybe I won't. And he just bided his time until now.
Yeah, it's tough because, again, like you said, they would need to definitely, they need to fix that defense. Absolutely, being ranked right now 31st in the league right now with the way they are, and bringing in a new head coach and bringing in his staff. I mean, could help that, and that would, he's a defensive-minded coach right there, so that would help bring that there. But I think with the weapons that you have, I think you could still do something with. I understand you're saying, offensive-minded coach, get that going and stuff, but I don't think they exactly spit and sputter. It's that they don't have a running back right now that can do anything. Right now, it's funny is I think they're getting something going with Rico Dowdle. So he's been able to get something going the last couple of weeks here out of nothing.
Right.
But, is that the future? Is he going to really pan out to be something?
No.
Right. So I think Vrabel's smart enough, though, to also get the right type of guy in there. I mean, you saw what he did with Ryan Tannehill and things like that, and not even having a lot of great weapons from when he was there for Tannehill. I think it can be successful, but I just don't know if that relationship with he and Jerry Jones would work out well. So I'm on the same page as you as far as I don't think he's going to go to the Cowboys.
No, I don't think so either. It's not a good fit. I don't see. And as far as the Cowboys defense, like they only need a couple play. Like they have a lot of young players
they have good players
that
there
have proven
too,
themselves already. Where that's not really a concern. It's not the defense. The defense statistically doesn't look good, but that's because they don't put points on the board. They're always behind in the defense is always on the football field. So I think the Cowboys are not. They're not like really far away from turning it around and becoming a competitive team once again in the NFC East, but they definitely do need the right coach. And I think if McCarthy does stick with Zimmer at DC, let's just say McCarthy stays and his decision is to stay with Zimmer, I think that's the worst thing you could do. I think you need to move on. You might even just need to move on from McCarthy at this point, because you're going to need new, fresh staff unless McCarthy's willing to get rid of Zimmer, bring in a better defensive-minded coach and his staff, and prepare for the offseason. So I myself don't think Vrabel, I don't think that's a good destination for him, a good landing spot.
By the way, Paul Matty, he says that he shared the video to the Pigskin.
Oh, appreciate it, brother.
And he says he shares it anytime he sees it on. Thank
really
you so much.
Appreciate it, Paul. Thank you so much,
too.
man. Appreciate it.
So one of the other teams, especially that's big right now, in the market for a head coach, and everybody's kind of pointing to first right away though with this thing is the Chicago Bears and the issue that they've been having. Yes, that's right. With Thomas Brown as their intern head coach right now, Eberflus fired, offensive coordinator done, so.
Right.
They think Vrabel can come in and fix this situation here too. What do you think about that one?
I could see Vrabel. I feel like that's a better fit. I could see Vrabel fit very nicely in Chicago. He's got that the figure of a Chicago Bear coach, like very kind of rugged, physical, tough type of dude. I think he fit in very well. I think that the defense is already good. He could capitalize more on that, maybe bringing in certain personnel to kind of enhance it, along with another defensive-minded coach to call the defense. And then really what Vrabel has to do no matter where he goes is you need to fix the offensive side. So depending on who he hires as OC is going to determine how good Vrabel does in any job that he takes. So Chicago would be really nice because you have a pretty solid defense, pretty good defense. The offense with Caleb Williams, you got to further develop him. So you got to bring somebody in that's good at developing quarterbacks and a guy that's creative and more modern of an offense that can work with him to obtain, what they're trying to do there and scoring points every drive. So they got a lot of good pieces on offense. They got good pieces on defense. I feel like that right there might be enough to sell Vrabel to go to Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough because all of the opportunities that are out there, I think the same issue, well, minus, I guess, the Cowboys, is the offensives need help. You know what I mean? And he's not an offensive-minded coach. But I think overall, though, with his football IQ, like he knows the rule books, like front to back. Like you saw that he studied that, and when he went against head to head to Bill Belichick, he outdid him in that. So he knows his stuff, and that's what I think is so integral in this whole thing. That he is smart in it all. He relates to players. He's out there as just a coach, assistant out there with the Cleveland Browns, throwing the ball around with them, hitting it and stuff like that too without pads. And he's part of it. He's enthralled in the whole situation. And I think he does know how to get the right guys. I think he does know how to get the best out of who he has there, because look what he did even with Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator, even for them too as well. And you also, Matt LaFleur was in that same franchise too as well with the Tennessee Titans. And look what he's doing with the Green Bay Packers. So I think he'll be able to get the type of guys right in there to run the offense. And like you said, even too, you've already got the good players there on that defense for the Chicago Bears. You just got to not screw it up basically at this point, and
you got to score points. You got to score points. And that's why it's critical, depending on who he has in mind to hire as OC, it's going to be their show. Because like you said, Vrabel is a excellent head coach. We've all seen, like you mentioned, he has great decision making, great in-game situational decision making. Mike Vrabel's he's proven himself as a head coach. And he's come up through the ranks as a defensive-minded guy. But that offensive side, no matter where he does go, it's going to really come down to that OC. And if that OC is successful, that's going to make Vrabel successful. Because we've seen a little bit of it in Tennessee where he started his coaching career. Great head coach, great decision maker, but was lacking a little bit on defense, was lacking a little bit on offense. They brought in Ryan Tannehill, hoping they could kind of turn that team around. Never really worked. They never were able to add more talent to the offensive side of the ball, and it struggled. So I think that Chicago would be a very nice place for him for a landing spot. I think that's probably one of the best landing spots as we're going to look down through the rest of the teams. But Chicago makes a lot of sense. I got to say that.
All right, Paul Matty's got to go. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate
Matty
you, man.
here. Thank you so much for joining us.
OG know-it-all.
That. Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to become a know-it-all, it's very simple. You just head over to our channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Make sure you share it to all your family and friends.
Know-it-alls.
And make sure you drop in the comments, whether it be a question, a comment, an opinion, what we're talking about, or if you want to talk about something else, we can do that too. That's what it's all about, being interactive. Get into it.
All right. And one of the other teams now I heard too that could potentially be a landing spot right now. I want to get your take on this too, just especially because
I hope so.
It is the Las Vegas Raiders.
It is the Raiders.
So what do you think about that? Being a Raiders fan and what so far Antonio Pierce, we got flashes of what he did before, but now the way the team is now, do you think that even partially with this and Vrabel's name being kicked around, do you think Tom Brady's a part of that, type of, thing to help influence this? You think that'll work well too because they know each other, they played together too, so it's a match made in heaven in that aspect too?
It's funny how we're talking about Tom Brady as like a GM.
Right?
Because that's what it sounds like.
Well, I just, again, because you're hearing
He's
that.
not. Like Tom Telesco's the GM. However, it's been reported by some reporters out of Vegas that they've talked to Mark Davis himself. They've interviewed him. And he said that he trusts Tom Brady a lot, so much so that he's going to have a very strong voice in that organization. So that tells me that Mark is going to definitely listen to what he has to say and make a decision from him, honestly. So with Vrabel going to Vegas, again, we talked about how Dallas needs some help. The Raiders, on the other hand, they need, not weapons-wise, but they need a quarterback. Everybody knows that's not a secret. The offensive line needs further help. You definitely need a running back. Wide receivers, I think they can work with. The wide receivers they have are pretty decent, pretty good. But defense, that needs work. That's not a very good. Like, they were very good, last season, but this year, definitely big difference. Obviously they went through injuries and all that, but again, I think a lot of work has to be done with Vegas. And for Vrabel to attract him to Vegas, it makes a lot of sense. You make the relationship of Tom Brady, has played with Vrabel, the relationships there. It makes a lot of sense, honestly, for him to go there because he would feel comfortable. Tom Brady's there. He can come in. He can do his thing. You know, he's going to have he's going to have the reins to change the defense, to make it his own as the head coach anyway. But again, no matter where he goes, the offensive coordinator is going to be a big deal for whoever he brings in. Mm-hmm. And do you think whether it be a young up-and-coming offensive coordinator or maybe someone else that people are familiar with that you bring in that could really change the attitude and the trajectory of that offense? Because there's going to a lot of work has to be done with that Vegas team. So I think the more attractive landing spot, obviously, we just talked about in Chicago, but the Vegas Raiders is on the radar just because there's too much connection with Tom Brady being there, being kind of like the voice of Mark Davis, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, but he's going to be involved, but it sounds like he's going to be involved. So if that all being said, it makes a lot of sense could you attract him to there though? Like if Chicago,
what's in it for him on
Chicago
that thing,
comes,
right?
like, I mean, you could say this about any team too, but like Chicago to me, personnel wise, is more ready to win now than the Raiders are. Mm-hmm. They got to overcome a lot of things with Caleb Williams, and they definitely need to fix that offensive line because that was bad this year. Mm-hmm. But the Raiders, you know, you have right now, if the season stopped today, you got the number 1 overall pick. That's kind of enticing too for a new head coach. You can literally start your franchise with the top pick and have your choice, and then every round after that. So that's kind of nice too. I don't think it's the best option for Vrabel. I would love it as a Raiders fan. I think Vrabel would be a great. I mean, we said it. He's a good head coach. Like, so to get a good head coach in your building, regardless of where you are as a team, that's a huge step in the right direction. So, yeah, I think it's one of the landing spots that he'll consider. Mm-hmm. But we'll see how this whole kind of carousel is going to work out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, and I think I can't help but think, but I think it would be funny, but I would not be surprised if all of a sudden, again, now Tom Brady part ownership says, hey, we saw it with Michael Jordan when he bought the Wizards. Said, yo, this team sucks so bad. I got to do something to help this team. I'm going to suit up. You know what I mean? You know, it'd be funny if Tom Brady's like, dude, they need a quarterback. I'm here. I literally own part of the team. I'm here. I'll just suit up.
You can't, though.
I know, but I think it would be hilarious.
It would have been funny, but he just can't because of NFL rules.
Oh, man.
He owns part of the team. He cannot play. That was part of the deal. You couldn't play.
It would be funny if they all of a sudden the owner's like, we're going to consider this in the owners meeting. You know, they're trying to change this rule. Because how many times they've done that for Tom Brady too?
Yeah,
right? Right. That would be epic.
That'd be that's true. Epic, that's true. That's very true. Very true.
Oh well.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, you got any other spots here? We talked about the few that are hitting here, and then we could get into our picks.
If I am looking real quick to see.
Because some
New Orleans
potentially aren't open. I thought maybe potentially New Orleans, but has Rizzy showed enough, you know, that people are liking him, that they're going to give him an extension?
Dude, we've seen this more times than not, where special teams coordinators get a chance to become a head coach, do a very good job, but then still don't get the gig. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, it's been Rich Bisaccia is the last one that I can think of where I was just like, dude, give the guy, he deserves a shot. But I don't know. I don't know what the Saints are going to think at the end of the season. Like the organization's playing better, but now obviously Derek Carr got injured. He's going to be done for the rest of the year. Yeah. So now it doesn't look like you're going to really win too many games now. Yeah. With Jacob Hayner kind of taking over. But that's an option. The Saints are an option. The Jacksonville Jaguars, we're fully expecting Doug Peterson to get fired. Yeah. Whether it be after the season's done or maybe right before it. But Jacksonville's another place where you got some pieces to work with. A young team, he could come in there. You know, that to me would be another nice landing spot for him to go in there and kind of do his thing. Other than that, we've heard the rumors about New England lately. They said, depending on, Jim, I got to get your take on this because we talked about it on the show last night. There was an article that came out of the Boston. I don't know if it was Boston Globe or not. It was from a Massachusetts journalist,
Yep.
right? Basically stating that they've talked to Robert Kraft or a front office member and have stated that Mayo, in his first year as head coach, depending on how the last few games go, if they get blown out in the last few games, that they are seriously considering firing Mayo in his rookie year as head coach. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, but what do you think?
I think that would be stupidity.
Absolutely, right?
I think it's stupidity because, again, when you look at a team and where their expectations are and where they are now, I can see a clear difference.
Mm-hmm.
One, I see they went and got a good quarterback here for them. Bang, there's number one. And the way they're playing right now, they are losing, but they're in games. They're fighting, and they've won a few different ones I didn't think they were going to come out and win. They're fighting, they're playing, and like I said, they're not a complete dumpster fire. You got the Jets on the other hand, who, we're expected to do something way better than this and are worse. Like, they're worse than what the Patriots are doing right now. They're having leads and blowing them by not being disciplined, getting all the penalties here and there. You're not seeing that out of the Patriots. You're not. It's a big difference. So I think it would be ridiculous if they do that.
Right. And that's the other thing, too, is it's funny because basically they knew they didn't have a quarterback, They drafted one in Drake May. Drake May didn't get to play until after midseason. And now, as every week goes, Drake May's looking better and better and better, and he's actually keeping them in games.
Mm-hmm.
Rookie quarterback at the end of the year, and you're going to blame Mayo? Like, oh, how come you haven't won more? Are you serious?
Yeah,
the team isn't ready to win. No weapons on offense. The offensive line's terrible. The defense is horrendous. Like, that needs to be all rebuilt.
Are they hearing it from a source, or are they just stating it themselves as
they're
media themselves
saying that
hey, he should get rid of him?
They're saying that someone from the front office, they didn't specify it was Kraft or not, but they're saying that's what they're looking into right now.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous.
If it does happen, we'll just say that. Even if it is ridiculous, maybe it's ridiculous because they want Mike Vrabel.
That's the only thing I can think of right now is they're here now. Everybody wants them, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Right. Another team to keep an eye on is the Jets. You just brought them up. Mm-hmm. Jets don't have a head coach for next season. At least maybe it'll be Jeff Albright. Yeah. I don't know, but
no, I don't think so because they're worse. They should have just stuck
he
with
just
Robert
took it over
Saleh
when it
again.
was a dumpster fire.
I know, but they've gotten worse though. I think even
there's
since
nothing
then.
he could do.
It's terrible because you got so much talent there in this. And like I said, they can score points. They're doing it. They're scoring points early on, and just undisciplined, like I said, and giving up. And a lot of it is the defense now again. And if you're a defensive-minded coach here, and you're the head coach now too, and that's the problem right now, dude. That's clear as day. That's all you could say to me right there. See ya, bye. So I mean. I'm looking at Vrabel, too. If he takes the Jets, too, it's right there in your hand, too, as well. And who knows? I don't know if even his relationship with Aaron Rodgers would be an issue or anything like that. I think I could potentially see in those guys.
Well, Rodgers won't be there.
Getting along. He's telling me he wants to be back.
He's not going to be there. Stuff, but the Jets are moving on.
I'm just saying I don't see that being an issue exactly there, too. And, he's a good head coach. If Brian Daboll, for some reason, all of a sudden gets fired this year, I'm all about Vrabel. And if he does get fired, I would want to be for Mike Vrabel. So that's what I'm saying at this point. So at this point, for my franchise that I follow, I would take him right now. Yeah, I would take him right now.
Daboll right now. Yeah. Fire Daboll right now and freaking hire Vrabel.
Yeah.
I like it.
He's made it to the playoffs multiple times. You know,
he's here.
Like I said, I like what I've seen.
I've talked
with Daboll. It's so up and down.
I've talked to some
you're
fans
fighting and angry and everything, but it's not
outside of our studio. I've talked to them, and the consensus is there's some confliction. Like, is Mike Vrabel even that good? And I'm like, if you look at it his tenure in Tennessee, no.
Is crack addictive?
If you looked at the Tennessee Titans football team and how it was working, no, it didn't work out for him, and that's why he ended up getting fired. But it's not because of him as a head coach. That's the difference. He's an actually good head coach, a good decision maker, a guy that understands, like you said, the rules and knows how to manipulate them to beat other opponents and understands how football works. Like, he's a former player, but he's a very smart former football player. And he's brought that knowledge into coaching, which has really helped him out. And I wish nothing but the best for Vrabel, no matter what team he chooses. I hope it's my Raiders. But if it's not, kudos to him. He deserves the head coaching gig no matter where it is.
Right. Like you said, I like what he's done. And I think, again, that pivotal moment where he outcoached Belichick, that's
he
when
did that
it
more.
was it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. But it wasn't just Bill. It was a lot of other
ones,
coaches
but
that he
that's what I
played
mean.
where they're like, hey, what? What do you mean that rule? What do you mean that applies here? What the hell are you talking about? No, Vrabel's over on the sideline like, laughing. He's like, I gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, and that's it. That's the gotcha moment right there. So, well, I'm excited to see what happens, where he goes.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait for the
good
offseason now.
Good thing for that
I'm all
franchise,
excited
whoever
now.
it might be. Yeah, right.
I'm excited for playoffs, guys.
right now. So
playoffs is going to be exciting.
Right. Oh, man.
We're getting down to the nitty-gritty now. We're getting down towards the end of the season. We only got like a few more weeks. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. The playoff hunt is on.
All right. So you guys talked about games last night. At least you talked about this upcoming one here
Tomorrow
Thursday night. Prime time. Here we go. The prime game. San Francisco 49ers. We picked them last week, to show out, and look at what happened. They did it. And you know what? The big thing is, too, is getting that Juwan Jennings, I think, involved in the offense, too. Again, when you talk about even when you got your
guy's an animal.
injuries with Debo and Christian McCaffrey, they got to get the ball to this guy, too. You know what I mean? He's there, and sometimes it's a head-scratching when this offense doesn't get going with the weapons that they have here. When they were able to do it last week against that Chicago Bears team who's just reeling right now, can't get anything together.
Oh, yeah.
But here they go. They face the Rams, who the Rams really put it to the the Buffalo Bills. They were just like two prized boxers going back and forth. And I'm not talking about heavyweights. Everybody talks heavyweights and blah blah blah. Heavyweights have some big hits, but they hug each other. This game last week was like watching those Mexican featherweights going at it where they're just speed shots. It's nonstop action the whole time, dude.
Yeah,
that's what that matchup was like. It was just score. It was nutty. And how about the Rams, though? Like I said, we talked about them a little bit last week, how they have the ability to go toe-to-toe with these teams, but sometimes they just don't do it. And last week was one of those times they were just pouring it on. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, a big factor, huge, crazy catches too. The toe taps, oh my goodness, the running too. So they're really utilizing Puka on a lot of different routes, whether it be running and stuff like that, as like a jackknife of all trades and things like that too for them. And they got to keep that going in that offense, sort of like the way San Francisco does with Debo. So I'm interested to see if this is what it's going to be here. I mean, Puka and Debo, jet sweeps everywhere on this one though. San Francisco at home. With some new life here, but that Rams team, wow, they're a tough team too as well, Joe.
They are tough. They are
in that same
tough.
division. So this game is so pivotal right now.
For sure, absolutely.
So what do you got? What do you got in this one? What did you talk about last night, D? Who'd you grab?
I took last night. I took the Niners.
Yeah.
But I might change it because obviously we have no injury report.
Injury reports.
So Trent Williams is going to be out tomorrow night.
Oh, that's big.
That's a huge thing. Also, one of their safeties is going to be out. Not Huafanga, but Malik Mustafa is going to be out. So that's another key player. Nick Bosa is questionable, though. Nick Bosa may not play, and same thing goes for Isaac Guerrero, who just took over the starting duties at running back. So, man, we talk about how often this team's been injured, and it seems like just when they're starting to get healthy, other guys are falling off. Christian McCaffrey's done for the year. Jordan Mason is done for the year. Things aren't looking too good for the Niners right now. But, man, the thing that's going to keep them in this game is Brock Purdy. I really do think that this is going to end up being a shootout for sure, despite the injuries, despite Trent Williams not going to be able to make the game. The Rams, however, they're a little bit banged up, but not as bad as the Niners. So I think I'm going to go with the Rams in this one.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at this matchup too. It's very tight here, but again, injuries with the 49ers. And when you look at the quarterbacks, most of the time, Purdy's pretty accurate and doesn't have the turnovers. He's due to have some of those big turnover games. He does that sometimes every now and then. Matthew Stafford, though, has been on fire, but he also is a little reckless with the ball at times. But when it comes down to it, if they got to do a game-winning drive, I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford on this one. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to go with the Rams.
I mean, that's the other thing, too, is they're healthier, too.
Right.
And the Rams at 7-6.
And the guys they have on defense that are healthy, especially.
The Rams at 7-6 are in way better position, but the Niners are only down a game.
Right.
So this is a pivotal one for both, like you said.
Yep.
But more for the Niners. If they are able to pull off the win, then they're right back into that playoff race.
Definitely.
Even though they're freaking don't have like
down,
3 running backs right now. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams because they're healthier, but I've been burned by them before, so we'll see.
Right? Yeah, exactly. All right, so next we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns. Browns officially out of it. They're done. Kansas City,
but they're
again,
still playing tough.
Etches out. Yeah. It squeaks out another win again. Squeaky. It wasn't pretty. I tell you that. I tell you that field goal to win or whatever. That was like doink right off the post and in. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it.
I was like,
I was hoping
dude,
that it would go.
I was hoping it would. Yeah, I was too.
But I know it's sad, but whatever. But again, the team like at times they were getting it to some of their dudes. Kelsey who had a couple catches. Noah Gray, Worthy, getting it done. But still, again, this team just still doesn't look right, man. Way too many teams staying in it like for too long. You didn't see that usually with the Chiefs. Chiefs is always like, hey,
once
we'll
they get
start
a
off
lead,
even a little bit, and then we'll pour it on, and then there's just whoop the shit out of you. Like, whoa, oh my God.
Yeah.
They just hit a switch. And they don't have that switchability in this season here.
It was more like once they got the lead, they didn't give it up. And then they would just, make it a bigger margin, and before you know it, the game's over and they have 30-plus points, and you got 12. Like, it was pretty bad. So, but that's not the same Chiefs team, even though their record is tremendous. They're 12-1. But, they got the referees.
Still when you look at it again, when it's in history, if they do not win the Super Bowl, they've got to be one of the most hollow, good record teams, divisional leaders. Like, yes, they've wrapped it up early there to, got their spot locked in for the division and stuff. So they're wearing their hats after that win and everything and stuff. But again, such a shell of a team, I think, at this point.
And that's the thing. I to me, the Chiefs are fool's gold.
Right.
They
That's
really
a good way
are.
to look at it.
Like they look great from the outside, and the record and it's Mahomes and Kels and all the flashy players that they have with Xavier Worthy and all that. But when you really watch their games, you're like, this is a 12-1 team. Like, really? Mahomes missed him wide open. He threw it at his feet one time. He threw a pick.
Right.
He threw an interception before. Like, there's not a lot to fall in love with the Chiefs. If I'm not saying Chiefs fans, of course, they love them no matter what. But I'm saying if you're watching from a X's and O's standpoint, from a football fan standpoint, you look at that team and you're like, I think when they face a really good team, they're in trouble.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think come playoff time when they run into some of these guys, I think if Justin Herbert didn't get knocked out of that game, come out, I think the Chargers definitely have this game.
100%, 100%.
Because there was a time when they had to have the backup
100%.
in there, and it was a total difference.
Yep.
Heineke was in there. Yep. But that being said, with this game here with Cleveland. I think Cleveland's going to keep it close. I think this is going to be a close game.
They are.
But I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs again. I think they're just
I
gonna
mean,
edge it out
when you have the referees on your side, I have to go with the Chiefs because you got the refs in your
don't have to
pocket
worry about holding.
and You know,
And all
they'll help
sides.
you out get the win, even if the Browns deserve it.
And it's funny,
Like the Browns
too,
have played
because-
tough football. Like Jameis Winston, we can clown on him all day long, and he does make mistakes. But he's doing something there in Cleveland that's getting this team right back up there
Yeah.
and in high spirits and freaking competing every week and damn near coming close to winning.
Yeah. And they say they love him in the locker room, and Fitz Magic has talked about this. You know, he's the same guy. He's out there, you know, and people love him. They really do.
Jim,
so maybe
what
that's
about-
going to be part of it.
So I don't think we've really had this discussion yet, but with Cleveland, we have.
Yeah, we have.
But my thing is, are you pro Jameis for Cleveland, or do you think they still need to go a different route? Like if they were to re-sign him and then have a legitimate quarterback competition between him and Deshaun Watson, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's got to be. Yeah,
because here's the thing: they're already paying a boatload of money to Deshaun. You know they're not going to get rid of him.
Yeah.
They can't. But should Cleveland re-sign Jameis after this year, or do they go a different route and bring someone else in?
Well, I don't know what the free agents might
Sam
be
Darnold.
out there. Sam Darnold?
Yep.
I don't know. I say you stick with what you got. He already knows the offense right now. Jameis Winston. Why not? The like I said, I think he really has the locker room. I think this team really runs around Nick Chubb, get him more involved in the offense. Plus, you
That's
have
not
Ford there
happening.
too as well, though. Jerome Ford, if you can do that 1-2 type of punch here too, that's key factor for this team.
They've gotten away from that.
I know, but they should go with it. Like that's what they were doing well. That's
But-
how they were winning.
They're winning because Winston just throwing the ball over the place. When it comes to running the football, that offensive line was atrocious in most of the season because they were all injured.
Right.
But and that's why they've gotten away from running. But now that
get
they
that.
have Winston and being able to distribute the football in the air, it seems to be opening up everything. But they're just still not going to the running game that much.
Right. But I'm just saying from a year ago, that's what they did better. You know what I mean? When they were able
Right.
to run the ball.
Yeah,
So
they had a
again,
healthy
but they
O-line and
do-
everything,
right.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying, moving forward. So I think that's the key. And you've already paid Winston, or not Winston, Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
And he's been not playing anyways. Either he's playing shitty or he's injured. So
Right.
you're not losing out on anything. You know what I mean? You're basically dealing with the same thing you've been through, and now you're telling him, listen, you're not guaranteed the shot anymore, dude. You really have to stay healthy, and you really have to earn it. You have to play to do this. Because we believe in this other guy here first. You know, so I would totally make it a competition and re-sign Jameis right now. I wouldn't go for a free agent.
Yeah. My other thing, too, is like, what do they do with Nick Chubb after this year? Because Nick Chubb is due to be a free agent.
I don't know, man. I think you got to bring him
He's
in again.
29
You gotta
years
lock him
old.
in.
He's 29 years old, about to be 30, just came from a catastrophic injury. And this is his last year under contract. So he's going to command a lot of money. Are you going to pay him to keep him? You think? They have the money to do it too.
They have the money, yeah.
They definitely have the money to do it. But he is 29. So that's going to be a tough decision that they're going to have to make in the offseason.
All right, so next we've got the Cincinnati Bengals and
The
the
Bungles.
Tennessee Titans. Bengals, there you go, putting it to the Cowboys right there, hanging tough with them, getting the victory. Even though,
Yes.
again the missed face mask calls and things like that. Joe Burrow getting hit everywhere.
One of the best offenses in football right now.
Dallas takes the late lead, and then all of a sudden the Bengals steal right away from them, and Micah Parsons out there crying, Joe. Can you believe
Oh,
that?
my God.
It was funny, and this is the difference, right? Everybody talks about, the Cowboys, the Cowboy way, everybody knows. America's team, blah, blah, blah. I know
Right.
as a Giants fan, you guys suck, blah, blah, blah. I get it. My team sucks, and we have for a long time. But your team, despite everything, you guys got this thing that Dallas, the team is bigger than, it's a big entity. You guys can't even handle losing a game, not
No.
even a season, having one shitty season. You can't handle it. You're breaking down. You're going to be going to your therapist. You can't do anything right. You're lost. Try doing it for a decade. You would die. You wouldn't be able to do this. And you see the players out there, CeeDee Lamb, I don't know what's wrong.
Not built for it.
No, you're soft. You're soft, dudes. That's what this is. So Cincinnati, I think I'm glad they won in this one. I just had to go up on the Cowboys again. Whatever chance I can, I got to. You saw it. You saw it, Joe. You
almost
agree
lost
with me,
your
right?
train of thought there.
Yeah.
After you.
Yeah, I had to bring it back into Cincinnati somehow. They are not soft. That defense played hard for Aruma.
Yeah.
Right? Anaruma, whatever the fuck his name is.
Lou
right?
Amarillo.
Amarumo. That's what it is.
Armadillo.
Yeah, Armadillo. That old guy.
Lou Armadillo.
On the other hand, Tennessee, again, they let us down. Seriously, Jacksonville.
Dude, come on.
Bro.
Come on.
And Mac Jones didn't even play really well. I mean, they did enough
No,
to win, but he
dude,
didn't play
Tennessee
well
had the
at
lead for
all.
most of the game, and then all of a sudden, it's like I look at the
It was
score
like
and I'm
a
like,
baseball score.
what the hell's going on?
Yeah. That
Dude.
was a terrible game.
so bad.
So in this one, Tennessee, I'm not buying in on any in this one. Cincinnati, they're playing for something still here. I like the Bengals here in this one. Easy.
I mean, the Bengals, they just need their offense to work.
They just need their
Like,
defense to work.
Their
I mean,
defense isn't
because-
never going to work,
I
by the
get
way.
it, but
The
they
defense
did all right
has
last
yeah,
week,
they were
but-
trash against the Cowboys. The defense is non-existent all year. It hasn't ever been up to par except for maybe a couple of weeks where they started to string a couple games together where you're like, the defense playing better. And then they let us all back down again. So forget the defense of the Bengals. The Titans defense is better than the Bengals defense. But I still think the Bengals offense is going to overcome everything. And they're going to score so many points and just continue to stay ahead once they get the lead. Bengals are going to win this game.
Yep.
There's two.
All day.
I don't even know. I didn't even look to see if Will Levis is even going to play now because that guy seems like he's always getting injured.
Yeah.
Dude,
did you see
and
his
he's
Mayo
not the guy.
commercial now? Did you see his Mayo
Oh,
commercial?
I saw that. I saw that.
think
Like,
that is hilarious.
yeah, that was forever ago.
Washington Commanders and the New
Tennessee.
Orleans Saints.
Will Levis shoulder felt good after throwing Wednesday at practice. Head coach Brian Callahan said the team will continue to monitor him. Blah 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 blah. So most likely, he did tack in a full practice, so he's going to play. But
I don't think that matters,
he's part of. No, it does matter because he's part of the problem. He continues to make mistakes, and it doesn't look good. So my thing too about Tennessee is with Brian Callahan in his first year. Is he going to be looked at as maybe a one-and-done type of coach? Because of the struggles with this offense, after changing everything, adding more weaponry to it, the offensive line is better, but we're still lacking to score points. That's what you were brought in to do. So I don't think I think it's, again, you know how I feel. I think it's a knee-jerk thing. I don't think it would be the right decision, but in some cases, people would see it as it is necessary.
Callahan, former offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's right.
Do you think that makes
That's
a
right.
difference?
That's right.
The Washington Commanders and the New Orleans Saints. With the Saints without Derek Carr, I think that signs it right there for you. I'm going with Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, if Carr was there,
there's not much to break it down here.
even if Carr was there, that
Yeah.
gives the Saints a chance to
Yeah.
win. But without Carr, it's a definite no. So give me Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders to get the W.
All right, the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants, buddy. Tommy
Ooh,
DeVito's
big
back
time.
too.
Yo,
with the helm.
Tommy Cutlets is in the house.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Exactly. You know what I was thinking too? I was like, I'm glad that we talk about other teams other than like my team. We don't have a podcast about my team.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I'd talk about every week. I would get frustrated because I'd just be
No,
angry,
it would
yelling
just
all
be
the time on the
it
screen
would just
every
be
week.
a bitch and moan
Right?
show.
Like the
about
season's
the
over
Giants.
already, so why even talk anymore, right?
I mean, people still do.
They do.
And they got
I
loyal
don't-
followers,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
They
I
got
don't- I
people
don't-
in the chat.
I don't
What
get
do we
that.
do next, guys? Come on. What do we do for the offseason? Who we
Yeah,
signing? Who
people
we
like
letting
to
go?
complain, I guess. But Baltimore, like I said, I don't think this is even close in this one. Baltimore Ravens, Giants can't do anything, right?
Dude, I will literally laugh hysterically if somehow Tommy Cutlets pulls this off. I don't think it'll happen. But Baltimore
do we
Ravens
smell
all
a
day
bet?
long with Derrick Henry, with Lamar Jackson, and the defense of this Ravens team. It's going to be very difficult for the Giants to do anything. So give me Baltimore.
All right, here we go, Dallas, and that brings the Giants though too, right there. They're going to be stuck. maybe at that number 1 spot. That'd be great. if they
Raiders
can.
are at number 1.
Raiders are number 1. Yeah, we're fighting this one out. I hope you guys can pull out a victory.
No,
then.
we still keep losing.
I don't know. You could beat Atlanta the way they're playing. Dallas.
Listen. I don't think you've seen the Raiders defense lately on how they're starting a rookie corner who was drafted in the freaking seventh round. Who's not any good.
Yeah.
So Kirk Cousins is going to have a field day.
And that's probably why last night you guys were talking about tanking, huh?
What's that?
You guys last night were talking about tanking too.
We did
as
talk
well,
about
the
tanking.
Blindside Blitz.
We think it's fake.
There you
People
go.
it's an illusion.
Right.
People are grasping to be like, oh, we can get a higher pick. Teams don't play like that. Coaches don't coach like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to keep their jobs. That's the bottom line. Like, there's no such thing as tanking. Unless the only exception would be your owner saying, I want you to lose every game from here on out. If you got the green light from the owner, you're going to do what you're told to keep your job anyway. So that's it.
Yeah.
But
we've only seen it in the movie Major League.
yeah, that's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Great movie if you guys haven't seen it. That's one
right.
sports movie that I did see. So
All
it's a good
righty.
one. All right, here we go.
Nice.
Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. Carolina's so close so many times, though, too, man. They
dude,
play
really?
so tough.
Man.
I could say maybe they could beat this Dallas
Bro.
Cowboys team the way they're crushed now. Oh, man. But I tell you what, though, Cooper Rush again, this team, he's still pretty good for them here. He doesn't seem fazed by anything out there. I mean, he's a
little
veteran
bit.
backup for a while. I mean, he is what he is.
He's not as good as he was the last time he went out there for Dak Prescott.
No,
he looks like a
there's
shit.
definitely difference. Like in that game against Cincinnati, if Dak's in there, I think Dallas wins that one. Easy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, like, here's the other thing that it's kind of hilarious to me. Trey Lance, third-string quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have come out and said that they have no plans on starting him at all this season, which to me is like, why did you trade for him? Don't you want to see what you have?
Exactly. We've said this 4 weeks ago.
I don't get it. The mentality in Dallas, it baffles me. So
They think
Cooper
they can
Rush
still
still
make
going to
the
be the guy.
playoffs. That's what it is. It's like
It's
no, we're still
over.
thinking we're making
It's
the playoffs.
over.
Like, yeah.
You lost last week. You
Yeah.
had to win last week.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. I don't know.
Go home,
At
Dallas.
this point, you do. Like I think you do. We said we said it 4 weeks ago.
Crazy. Yeah.
Dude, make the switch now. Forget Cooper Rush. See what you got. If he creates a spark and he makes the playoffs, sure. If not, whatever, you get to see what he is.
Right.
You know, you brought him in there.
It's great content
You
like
traded
this.
for him. Even
It's
like,
great content like this that you guys out there, if you're paying attention, you should just dial in right now. Head over to our channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Share it all around. Drop in the comments down below that you did. We are going to react to every comment down below. Question, opinion, whatever it is. It's what it's about. Being interactive. And you can also follow us on X at FB_no.
We did it, Joe.
And
so
Facebook.
What do you think, Dallas or I'm going to go with Dallas? I still think they
Fuck
have enough
the
to
Cowboys.
win. Though. I don't
I'm
want
going
them to
with
win,
the
but
Panthers.
That'd be nice.
Give
if
me
the
Carolina.
Panthers-
Give me Bryce Young, who's been playing much better now.
Yeah.
And you got Adam Thielen, the Resurrection Project, who just came up from an injury and had a hell of a game last week.
Mm-hmm.
This team is playing so much better, and they even came close to beating the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So give me the Panthers in this one at
There
home.
you go. Nice. The New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one is tough.
Oh,
'Cause
why do we
again-
got to pick this one?
I know.
Is this a push?
'Cause This
Do we
is
just-
tough. Oh my gosh! Because again, Jacksonville is so bad, but the Jets again, that's what
the Jets are
teases
bad.
you because they have the
They're bad and
ability
they're
to score.
bad.
They scored 21 points and then they gave it all up and lost. Still, how, dude? How? And this is
Oh,
what
it's
I
so
keep
bad,
asking
dude.
myself.
Oh, man.
I'm like, how they can't be able to screw this one up? They can't, and then
Right,
they do,
right.
and you're like,
they do.
dude.
Yes.
So then I'm seeing a Jacksonville team too, where they're not very good.
Let me look.
They
real
should
quick.
have enough to beat this one, but do they? I mean, I mean, is it Mac Jones coming in here and getting a back-to-back win here against a terrible Jets team? I can't fathom that. I can't, but it's so tough to go on this one, Joe.
Where are the Jets? I'm looking for the injury report here for the Jets.
Jeez.
Because the Jaguars, they're a little bit banged up, but obviously Trevor Lawrence is done, but no other big names are injured on their injury report. Let's see. Jets are right here. Breece Hall,
Yeah.
who did not practice, is struggling a bit. It was in quotation, struggling a bit. and might not play this week. Ooh. New York is not yet at the point of shutting Hall down for the season, but it's looking pretty bad. They did pick up a new running back, which is telling a little bit for insurance purposes. Who else? Morgan Moses. He's going to play this week. He practice limited. Elijah Vera Tucker did not practice. He's got an ankle, but I would expect him to be ready to go at the end of the week. Gardner's going to play. Hassan Reddick didn't play, but that was because of illness. So that's the injury report for the Jets. So that right there, with that being said, that kind of just tipped the scale for me. I'm going to go with the Jaguars.
Boom.
I'm going to go with Mac Jones.
Mac Daddy,
And-
Daddy Mac.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
they're gonna do their thing.
It's so tough because this is, oh my gosh.
Honestly, dude, I mean, here's the thing. Like we've talked about the Jets all season long
Yep.
and how they've been so disappointing, underachieving type of team.
Yep.
If they don't have Breece Hall, I really don't
Yeah,
think they have a
that's
running
big,
game.
too. Yep.
And we've seen the struggles with defense, but I feel like that's still because the offense isn't putting points on the board more than anything. The Jaguars, though, Jaguars defense, they kept the Jaguars in the game last week. So I'm good with Jags. Give me Jags.
Man. I think I'm going to go with the Jets one more time. Why
Yes,
not? I'll ride with the
Jimmy.
Jets. And
Yes,
if you,
and this
you
is where
take
Rodgers
this
gets
is
hurt and
when
leaves
you-
the game.
This is when you come back, and then you can tie it up here, and then we got a good competition going on here.
Or it doesn't.
Or it doesn't. Yeah.
And
All
the
right,
Jets
Miami-
finally prove
Yeah, that's right. Or it's a wash. Maybe I can win the Dallas
Bro,
one, and then
it
you win
ends up-
this one. Who
yo,
knows?
Jim,
That's
it
how
ends
always
up in a
go.
tie.
Yeah.
It
Right,
ends
ends
up
up
in
in
a
a tie. There you go. We can both hang our hats. All right, next
3-3.
Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans. Oh, this is a good matchup here.
It is a good match.
Dolphins, though, last week,
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised
You
that
are?
they got off to a slow start and then they
Yeah.
were getting beat badly, but they were able to come back though and win still. But I thought they would have been playing a lot better than they did last week against the Jets. Like we said, the Jets had them.
Right.
They were up 21-6, I think, or something. It was something like that. They had the lead.
Right.
And then they gave it up. You could have stomped out the and upset the Dolphins right here. And you didn't. Miami is able to come back here. But that kind of scares me about Miami again. And when they play these tougher teams, good teams, again, it's they don't really show up a lot of times. So I think this could be a nice game to watch. I'm excited for this one. Watch these guys go
Yeah.
at it. But Houston hasn't been the same team that we were expecting they were going to be this year either. So it's going to be tough. But I'm going to roll, I think, with the home team and the Houston Texans in this one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I think I'm going to go with the Texans as well too. I like the defense a little bit better than the Dolphins, and I think that the Texans with Joe Mixon and his running game, that's really what's really helping them kind of overcome some of their limitations. CJ Stroud just got to simply play better as a quarterback. That's really what that is a problem. It's a sophomore problem that he's having. And it kind of confusing why, because he has the guys that he needs from last year are still there. Minus Stephon Diggs. I understand that he's not in the lineup, and that's a big deal. It is, but he still should be able to execute and still should be able to put up points. I think this could end up being a shootout, though. It really could, because both offenses are their strengths. So give me the Texans at home.
All right, here we go. Next, we got the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos.
I'm so
Broncos
glad
at
we got
home.
to this point.
Yeah. Colts, again, still on the outside looking in, I think. They're close.
They're
Nothing
6 and
really
7.
changed
They're
with
6
the
and 7,
playoff
yep.
picture. We looked at it
Yeah.
last week. You said
Yep.
that potentially they could be that team that gets that last
They got to
spot up in
continue
there.
to win, though. That's the thing.
They
They
do.
lose one more game and they're done. And this might be the game that puts them to bed.
And that's the thing. I think this is the game that kind of puts them to bed. I'm liking the Denver Broncos here at home in that defense.
Yeah, the Denver Broncos, too, are a very hot team. Even with a rookie quarterback, their defense is one of the best in the league. And their offense is coming along. They're 8-5, and they're kind of riding the wave right now. And it looks like right into the playoffs. Give me the Denver Broncos against the Colts, ending the Colts' reign for the playoffs.
All right, Buffalo ending up getting beaten a shootout against the Los Angeles Rams.
It took
Now
them a
they
long time, right?
Yeah. Now they face the Detroit Lions, though. Another tough offensive team
So
here.
brutal.
Lions
Back to
in
back.
a tough game last week against the Green Bay Packers, too. And, man, I'm wondering, I know you live and die by what you do here with Dan Campbell and stuff in the fourth downs, but we've seen Brandon Staley lose his job over this crap, man. And some of the things he does, like going for it when it's in your zone, I don't give a shit how much you think you might like, your offense's chance to try and do some of that. So a lot of that stuff is risky because you basically give up a touchdown. And when you do it to a team like the Packers here,
Yeah.
dude, you're instantly putting yourself back. You know what I'm saying? And then when they score, they're kicking it off, and now you're against the wall. Your back's against your own end zone there, and you got to come back and do it again. Luckily, this team has enough strength to do that, but I wouldn't put my team in that position so many different times here. And another team's going to get him one of these times he does that gamble.
Okay.
And it could be the Bills.
Could be.
What do you think?
I think that they're both really good teams. I think that they're both going to head up. Listen, this is going to be an awesome game. This is like one of those game of the weeks type stuff that I kind of wish they flexed this game to a primetime game. I really do, because this is deserving of under the bright lights type of stage. The Detroit Lions, listen, they're one of the hottest teams in football. The Bills were. I think that their offense still is. Even though they're healthier, it seems like they didn't get much better on defense. It's a little weird because they lacked last week that defense. I thought for sure with a second week with Matt Milano and everybody, Chris Benford and everybody back and another week of practice, I thought they were going to easily beat the Rams. I really did. And that was lacking. The defense was lacking last week. It wasn't the offense for sure. And now you got back-to-back tough matchups. Now you got to play Detroit Lions in Detroit. It's not like you're right back at home to where maybe you can reset and get back into the swing of things. I think this is going to be a great game. This could go either way, but I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions in this one.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions on this one too. And I want to say, I think I was looking at that game last week too with the Bills, and I don't think they even got a sack in that game.
No, they didn't.
Either. You know what I mean? They got a couple tackles for loss, but that's the one thing that's telling there too, because they weren't able to get that type of pressure, which they have been able to in the past in this one. I think there's going to be the same thing that we saw last week. So are we going to go over 86 points in this one, Joe, you think? Or are we going to go under?
It might be. It might be.
It's going to be crazy.
It's crazy.
But, yeah, I'm going to go with Detroit on this one.
And I got to say, though, too, like last week, like I'm saying the Bills' defense was lacking, but the Rams wasn't doing that great either. But
right.
I think it was. I don't think it was more of a negative for both defenses. I think it was just because the two offenses, the Rams and the Bills, were playing at such a high level. It looked like they were the only ones doing something. Mm-hmm. So that's the crazy thing, is how well they were both playing last week was insane.
Yep. All right, next the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh, this is a good one. This is another
game.
Good one they should have.
Yes. This is the big
But
Pennsylvania
no,
matchup.
they're gonna give us Monday night. They're gonna give us the Bears and Vikings, and also the Falcons Raiders. That's what they're gonna give us.
They give you two piece of crap games to try and equal one.
Two games that really don't mean anything. Like the Vikings can continue winning and bolster their record, but that's about it. All these other teams are they're done. They're out of it.
All right, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, Joe. What do you got?
This is a tough one, man. Let me tell you.
Right now, looking at ESPN analysts, they all have Philadelphia.
Oh.
So that tells you we should pick Pittsburgh on this one.
That tells you, yeah, right.
Right.
Honestly, man, the Steelers could prove something here. They really could. Like if they were able to pull this off, that's gonna definitely change some minds about the Pittsburgh Steelers going into the playoffs, how dangerous they really are. Make fun of Russell Wilson all you want, but he's killing it right now in Pittsburgh. The defense, along with it, the Eagles, they're a tough out. As long as Saquon Barkley is healthy, They are a very tough out because he's the one. We used to say that Jalen Hurts was the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like Jalen Hurts, if he stays healthy, that offense is going to be incredible and stay incredible. Now it's more like Saquon Barkley because he's really the reason why this Eagles offense is soaring high. Like, despite not throwing the ball too much to A.J. Brown last
so
week.
much. He's getting upset.
And, hey, I need my catches too. Like, anyway, the Eagles defense, though, is also another team not to kind of overlook. That defensive side of the ball for them is playing exceptionally well with rookies, mind you, in the defensive backfield. So this is going to be another great matchup. I'm going to have to lean towards the Eagles in this one, though. I think that both defenses are going to play well, but I have a hard time betting against Saquon Barkley again. I did it one time. I got burned.
Yep.
And as long as they have that run game, I think that's going to be the difference here for this matchup. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because this goes against my power rankings that I did. I mean, if I go Eagles on this one, because of Pittsburgh, I had them up there. And this is the thing about
I did
them,
too, though.
because I think
I did
Pittsburgh
too.
can still attack you with the air game. And they got the running game on top of it too, and that defense. So I think this is an evenly matched matchup here.
It is very even.
So, but that being said, again, it's hard to bet against Philadelphia, especially at home. They're going to find a way to win.
You're a Giants fan. You should bet
I know,
against them.
I want to. But, I also know Saquon Barkley, what he's able to do and what he's been to them.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you familiar with Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, not this Saquon Barkley, but yes. So I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles and put it this way. If they win, I got the win, and if they lose, I'm still happy.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
I'll be the same way, too.
Yep.
Because I have the Steelers up a little higher
Yes.
than your playoff rankings.
All right, so here we go. The New England Patriots and the Arizona Cardinals. We were just talking about that. Arizona's, you're kind of like darling Cinderella team.
Yep.
I think, they played really well, too, as well.
Yep.
New England, I think, also is playing better than they expected.
Well, now that they put Drake May in finally, right?
Right.
Like, now that you're starting to reap the
I can see
benefits
this
a little
game
bit.
going either way.
It could go either way,
But
for
in
sure.
Arizona, they've had a lot of tough competition here. I think they play up to that. And being here at home, especially losing a couple close ones, I think this one they're not going to let slip. I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
I think I'm going to
on
be
this one.
continually disappointed. I'm taking the Cardinals, but they're probably going to lose again. Just
Yeah, who
because I
knows?
picked them.
We shall see. All right, next the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Chargers. Another one, man. This is a tough matchup
Man,
here.
that's a good one.
Man, this
But
is so
here's
good.
the thing, though. Herbert was banged up last week.
Mhm.
He was limping. That ankle kind of really bothers him right now. It's
And
gonna.
you see even the difference with not having J.K. Dobbins here and Edwards. Just Edwards back there running. They didn't run as much.
He's
even
not
to
as
Edwards.
explosive
Right.
running back like J.K. Dobbins, and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But the problem with Dobbins is obviously his injury history.
Yeah.
He's never really played until this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be concerning. Is he might be coming back this week, though. J.K. might be coming back this week. It looks like, at least injury report rise, he's not on the injury report, so he might, in fact, be returning. Lad McConkey as well. Herbert dealing with an ankle in addition to the leg contusion he suffered in Sunday's loss to the Chiefs, Jim Harbaugh said. So a separate ailment for Justin Herbert. How well is he going to be able to manage that throughout the game? Now, if he ends up re-injuring it during the game, does that force him to leave the game and stay out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was able to return last week, but maybe if it happens again, that might not be enough. But Chargers are pretty healthy otherwise. And let me look at the Buccaneers. Scroll down to Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay. So, as of today, there's a few guys that didn't practice, like Antonio Winfield Jr., Tristan Wirfs, Mike Evans, and Bucky Irving. All starters.
Mm-hmm.
But is that a resting type thing? We know that Bucky Irving did sustain that back and hip
Mm-hmm.
injury last week, didn't return. How long is he going to be out with that injury? So
Yeah.
we'll have to monitor that for the rest of the week, but I feel like the other three are going to be healthy. So pretty much they are very healthy going into this matchup. I got to say this. I'm super impressed by Baker Mayfield last season and then going into this season, how well he's been performing as their starter at quarterback. And this team loves him. You can tell. Like, they're all about Baker Mayfield. So the defense, though, I'm kind of disappointed in this year. I thought that the defense would be better. They show flashes here and there at Vita Vea stopping the run up the middle and all that, and sometimes Yaya Diaby racing off the edge and sacking quarterbacks, but there's not enough consistency in coverage or stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of makes me a little concerned going up against the Chargers here. But even if they, I feel like if they got J.K. Dobbins, this Chargers defense is pretty good. They might not be statistically, but they on the field, man, they look awesome. I'm going to go with the healthier quarterback, though. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Chargers because I feel like it could very easily be a shootout. It very easily could be. But I'm going to go with Tampa Bay in this one. You're going to go with the Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one.
I knew it. I knew what you were going with.
Yes,
I knew it.
And it's tough. It was a tough debated one, but again, it is, I think, the factor of that defense. Again, the Tampa Bay defense, like you said, giving up 41 points to the Ravens, losing a couple of other ones again by multiple, 20, 30, points given up in the red zone. They're, I think, ranked 15th or so or somewhere around there.
Not terrible.
Third down conversion is like in the 20s. And the defense for the Chargers totally different. Their red zone defense is number one. Their defense on third down, 7th. So I think that's going to be a factor as long as Justin Herbert stays healthy, because that's the thing that could bite me here, because I was weighing towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I could see all of a sudden, hey, their team's looking good, but boom, Justin Herbert takes a hit. Now he's out.
Yep.
Now we got Heineke. This game's over.
Game's
it's the Tampa
over.
Bay Buccaneers,
Exactly.
just like that.
Exactly.
So I just gave up a loss for no reason.
Yeah.
So which I could see that happening.
But the other
But
thing,
screw it.
yeah.
I'm going to gamble.
The
Let's do this.
the other thing too, though, is that when you look at matchups too, I feel like offensively the Buccaneers have an advantage over that defense, because that defense, as good as it is, that offensive line's really good, like really good. So I think with that and the fact that they've been able to come together with Jalen McMillan as a rookie and Mike Evans, Cade Otton is an interesting tight end, huh? That dude, when they didn't have receivers, stepped up like a slot receiver.
Yep.
And lately has been definitely enthralled into this offense. So I think it's going to be a great matchup either way. Like, I think it's going to be a good game to watch. So I'm excited to watch it. Whether I win or lose doesn't matter. Yeah. I can't wait to see this kind of a matchup.
Like I said, this week is crazy because a lot of these could go any way.
Oh, it's
you
nuts.
don't even know.
It's nuts.
The next one, especially even too, Green Bay, Seattle. I still think even in that game with the Lions that Jordan
Seattle.
Love didn't even play that well. You know what I mean? Again, still. It kind of played out kind of the way we kind of thought it would in a sense. And again, they were getting Josh Jacobs the ball, and they were effectively running. But Dan Campbell making the risks, and it cost them a few times, but then they were also able to make it on a few of those as well. And they continue their winning ways. But Green Bay, they're a tough team. Seattle, grinding some games out. And Charbonnet, big factor for them and the running factor.
Really good player
for them. So they are at home. They do play better here at home. But overall, I still think Green Bay is the better team. I'm going to go with the Packers on this one.
Yeah, and fuck you, Seattle. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers, go Cheeseheads.
Yeah, and let's make this division exciting.
That's right.
If Seattle loses now, again, that makes it, if San Francisco wins or the Rams, you know what I mean? Makes that division way crazier again. Except for Arizona, because Arizona lost twice to Seattle, so Seattle would have to lose out of that top spot.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed in Seattle.
I'm not mad. Disappointed. Nice. Well, the thing is, though, too, it's because it's not like Geno Smith doing well either. Is really that running game and what they've been able to do. So.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Charbonnet's a different dude.
Yeah.
And Kenneth Walker, like he's dealing with an injury right now, and it doesn't seem like by the end of the week, it doesn't seem like he'll be available. So, and I think the Seahawks, the way they look at it as the fact that, Kenneth Walker III is our starter, but if we have to start Zach Charbonnet, we're okay there too. They're okay with it.
Yep. All right, next we've got the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold playing his lights out.
I like it.
Again, though, too. So what do you think for I think Minnesota wins this game. What do you think about
Do
it?
you? You think Minnesota wins this
You
game?
got Minnesota in this one?
I mean, do I like Caleb Williams?
No.
No. So, and it's really they.
All right.
I don't care if you put in a different head coach, interim head coach,
Right.
and even maybe have a little bit of a twist in the offensive play calling.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams, and I'm sorry, but he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
He might have some crazy plays, and they might pull off a couple wins here and there, but Caleb Williams is not. Minnesota is hungry. They're trying to get to a higher seed. They got something to play for, and I just think they're a better team. So, yeah, I'll go with the Vikings.
All right, so then let me ask you this then. All right.
No.
So, you're the Minnesota Vikings here. We talked about this
I
with
am?
the I'll just put that right there in the Minnesota Vikings. Your GM cap on right now.
All right.
There it is.
Sweet.
You're the
I've always
GM for
wanted
the
to be
Minnesota
GM.
Vikings. We talked about this with the Browns with Jameis Winston and Deshaun Watson. Say now Sam Darnold, the way he's playing right now, and the way you're pushing into the playoffs with this team. Do you re-sign Darnold for a contract now to be your starter, and then would see if J.J. McCarthy can develop or even win that job out? Or what do you do? Do you bring Sam Darnold back? I mean, yes, he's trying to play for a job right now, but if he's doing so well with Minnesota right now, and depending how deep they go in the playoffs,
Yep.
why wouldn't you just bring him back? And if you do, what do you pay him here?
Because it's going to cost you a boatload of money. Let's just say the Vikings go into the playoffs and they win the first round, right? Boom, big time dollars. Even if he just wins one playoff game and loses the next, now you have to pay him $50 million a year. I'm not paying him that. And I drafted J.J. McCarthy, and I also brought in Daniel Jones as insurance / competition for next season. Because I really do expect Kevin O'Connell and this Vikings team. They brought in Daniel Jones for a reason. Not just backup, but also I feel like they are going to re-sign Daniel Jones and have J.J. McCarthy duke it out for the starting job next season. Whereas Darnold, who they think, because of his exceptional play this year, I think they're going to say, well, he's going to end up being too rich for us. So Darnold will be a free agent. And he is debuting for a free agent job. And the honest thing is, if he does, in fact, like I said, if he wins a playoff game and it goes up from there, if he makes it to the championship game, yeah, there's no way Minnesota's going to dump a boatload of money to keep him. I think they're definitely out of that running. So they've planned ahead for this situation to work itself out. So they did draft JJ. They brought in Daniel Jones for a reason. It's not like it's not just this season and then done, I don't think. I think at least he'll be a adequate or a good backup if JJ does start, or if Daniel Jones somehow in this new offensive scheme that Kevin O'Connell has done well with Sam Darnold, maybe he can do the same for Daniel Jones, and they can duke it out in the offseason. So that's what I think is going to end up happening.
Interesting. It's tough. I mean, I know the Vikings next year they'll have $76 million on the cap space.
But you can do so much more with that money in other positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you just drafted a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely don't think – I think Daniel Jones, on the other hand, you can still bring him back for cheap. You're not going to have to pay him nearly as much.
Yeah, I get it. All right, next, finally here on the other Monday night football game here.
On the
I hate
other
it when they start
Monday
them at
night.
the same time, just
Why
off
do they
by
do
a half
that?
hour. Stagger it like that. It's one thing if you stagger it between halves, but
If it's like –
come on, dude.
I mean –
a half-hour difference. They're literally playing at the same time.
yeah. Oh, I know. So I'll have the red zone
So you
on?
just go back. Yeah, I guess. All right.
Oh,
so,
wait. It's not even on Mondays.
Yeah, no. All right, so there you go.
That sucks.
Atlanta Falcons and the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh,
Man.
what a great game, everybody.
This
I
is a
hope you're
game.
tuning into this one.
Yeah, this is a game that the Kirk Cousins
This means-
needs to win, I think, to
this-
keep his starting
hey.
spot, right? We talked about
Oh,
this on
man,
the Blindside
dude.
Blitz last week.
We said that he needed to be benched. We didn't even say he needed to play for his job. He needed to be benched. Michael Penix needs to go in to give them at least a chance because he's been killing them offensively, turning the ball over way too often. It's been insane. But this is where he could look like a stud. You know, he really could. This Raiders team is heavily injured on the defensive side, a little bit offensively in terms of running backs. But man, I heard through the grapevine that Desmond Ridder might be facing his old team as the starting quarterback.
Interesting.
Could be very interesting.
That's probably the only
Imagine.
interesting thing.
So my thing is, if Ridder plays well and somehow pulls off a win just to kind of spite the Falcons, Raider fans will hate him forever because
right,
they're gonna be so mad because he missed out on the number one overall pick.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That
so
would suck. That is the Raider way, though, right? Sometimes it's the same
No,
way,
I
the
mean,
Giants
listen.
way, the same thing.
listen, you play to win the games anyway.
Yeah.
I know people get pissed off when you say that. Oh, why would you do that? Because they want to win no matter what. Even if you're out of the playoffs, it feels good to win a game, doesn't it? Like, but
All right, so
we'll
on
see.
this one for me, it's going to be a tight game here, but I think this is one that Atlanta can come back and get a victory here. I'm going to go with the Falcons.
I hope so.
There you
I'm
go.
just gonna say I'm going with the Falcons too, because for obvious reasons. Not to mention, I like to see Antonio Pierce get more and more miserable every single week, and things aren't good in Vegas. They just have too much to overcome. I heard Aiden O'Connell has a bone bruise, is what he sustained last week, and he went through today's practice in a walkthrough, which is obviously not full practice. I don't think he's going to be available or at least healthy enough to do it. So you might as well start Ridder against his old team.
Why not?
If he throws 3 picks, who gives a shit?
Yep, exactly at this point, right? All right, so there you go. There's all the picks this week. That's the show.
That's right,
Here's
baby.
now. There's the standings so far. Joe's only down by 3 right now, but within the picks that we did tonight, who knows? That could change.
We said the same thing last week,
Well,
and
you
it
never
didn't
know,
change.
right?
I just got worse, didn't I, by a game?
Well, no, we picked the same picks.
Oh,
so
it
we
ended
didn't go
up.
anywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly the same
No
picks, I
kidding.
think. Yeah.
Listen,
so.
if you're new to the show, we want you to be part of this thing. We have a great time talking to you guys every single week, Wednesday nights. That's right, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Want you guys to be part of this thing. Really help us out. We appreciate all the OG know-it-alls out there. I want you to become a new know-it-all. Very simple. Head over to our channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you share it to all your family and friends. Everybody that loves NFL talk. This is an interactive talk show. Every time you comment, every time you ask a question, we're going to react to it. And sometimes it stirs up other conversations. That's what this is all about. You can also follow us on Facebook and X at FB_no. We'll see you in the next one.
All right, see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.